Today we're heading back north to Alaska to find out what the road system has to offer. Not only are we going to talk about where you can find 20 and 30-inch rainbows, but we're going to get Mike's take on why Chinook have taken such a downturn and why this is connected to 30 billion hatchery fish being released up there. We're also going to talk about swinging for rainbows so you're ready this fall when the game turns on. This is the Web Fly Swing Podcast, where I show you the best places to travel to for fly fishing, how to find the best resources and tools to prepare for that big trip, and what you can do to give back to the fish species we all love. Hey, I'm Dave, host of the Web Fly Swing Podcast. I've been fly fishing since I was a little kid, and I grew up around a little fly shop and have created one of the largest fly fishing podcasts in this country. I've also interviewed more of the greatest fly anglers than just about anyone out there. Mike Brown, owner of Mossy's Fly Shop in Anchorage, Alaska, takes us into the 49th state. We're going to take a drive south and north along the Alaska Highway. We're going to take a stop along the way in the area where I'll be meeting up with the winner from this year's Alaska giveaway. And then we're going to jump down on Highway 1, head to the Kenai, find out how to catch sockeye on a fly, and then we're going to finish up with the spay clave and the one fish that flies under the radar. Mike's going to talk about that. Plus, you're going to find out how to join this amazing trip if you're interested in big rainbows. All right, time to get this one rolling. Let's jump in. Mike Brown from mossysflyshop.com. How you doing, Mike?
Good, Dave. How are you?
Great. Yeah, it's really good to have you on the show today and talk one of our favorite places, Alaska. I've been up there before. It's been a little bit of time, but we're excited because we're going to be getting up there again, probably driving. We'll probably be stopping by your shop, which is going to be cool. And we're doing this event. We're doing a big giveaway with Fish Hound Expeditions, who are actually... Adam was the one who first recommended I check in with you guys, but I mean, I've heard about you guys for many years. I think, are you guys the only shop in Alaska, or are there other ones up there, or not Alaska, in Anchorage?
Well, I mean, we're the only dedicated fly shop because it's all we do. I mean, there are other retailers that deal with fly fishing, but we're the only just fly fishing specific store.
That's right. So you guys are all, and are you, I haven't been to Anchorage for a while, but are you right downtown Anchorage? Where are you at?
We're in South Anchorage.
Okay. South. Yeah.
How
is Anchorage? How has it been in Anchorage? Is it a place where you see the development, the booming, more people coming in, or does it seem like it's pretty chill?
No, Anchorage, it's growing. I mean, it's hard to grow because of the bowl it sits in, but there's a lot of people here.
Yeah. You're noticing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the fly fishing? Has it been, well, we'll get into your story, but has it been always, I mean, fly fishing's always been huge. Are you seeing that growing in Alaska, or is it more the tourists that come up from around the world to fish it?
No, I mean, fly fishing's always had its space here. I wouldn't say, I don't know that I've seen it growing necessarily, but it just always kind of seems to be about the same. I mean, there's a lot of people that do it, and that, with salmon fishery, we got a lot of people that own fly rods that aren't necessarily fly fishing, but there's still, that element is there.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to jump into, I think today, I want to talk kind of maybe in general around Alaska, but also the road system, because we're going to be driving up there, hitting a number of different spots. But I want to hear your story, how you got into it, how you kind of got into fly fishing and the shop there. But what's your first memory? Have you been doing this a long time?
I started fly fishing when I was about 10 years old. I used to fish a local lake here in town, and I was watching a guy fishing with a fly rod one day, and I thought, man, that looks kind of cool. I want to try that, and calling my mom into buying me a fly rod that was I still own it, about 8 times too big for lake fishing, but that's kind of morphed from that.
Yeah. What was that original? Was that a fiberglass rod, a graphite, or what was it?
Yeah, it was a Berkeley 8-weight fiberglass rod.
There you go. Berkeley 8-weight.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, I bought it at a gun store in the neighborhood.
Right. At the gun store. Back then, when you were 10, was there a fly shop in the area?
Yeah, this shop that I own was open. No, I take that back. It was not, because this shop didn't open till 84. I'm pretty sure Rod and Reel, owned by a guy by the name of Mike Hirschberger, was around then. And then Northwest Outfitters, I think, was open at that time frame as well. But they may have been a little more multifaceted. A lot, like when I was that age, I mean, a lot of the stores were very multifaceted in everything they sold.
Yep, that's it. Okay, and so so you're out there 10 years old. When does the fly shop idea, or even when does that kind of pop in your head?
Oh, getting into the fly shop business for me, that popped into my head in my late 30s. I was born and raised here in Anchorage, grew up here, worked in my family's truck equipment business my whole life, and my brother and I owned it. And after our father passed, things were just changing, and I'd never done anything different. And I kind of just wanted to go off and do something kind of crazy and wild. And owning a fly shop seemed like the thing to go try and do. And this shop literally landed in my lap at that time, is coming up for Dennis was gonna sell it, and I bought it from him and been hanging out in it for the last 14 years.
There you go. 14 years. So what is it like owning a shop? Is it or do you guys is it your typical fly shop where you kind of have tying sessions? And I know you have the spay clave, which is or I guess whatever you call that up there, right? That's a pretty awesome thing. Would you say it's a typical fly shop, or is it because it's in Alaska you guys do things differently?
No, this is I've tried to design and build this to be your prototypical fly shop.
That's right. So you guys cover it all. Do you cover a lot of fly tying materials and all that?
Yep. We got a lot of fly tying materials, and we do fly tying classes in the winter. We also do a one night a week tie-in, where people can just come and hang out and tie flies and BS for an evening. We do that in the wintertime as well.
Yep. What is your, during I mean, right now we're kind of peak July, August, right? Alaska. How long are you guys fishing up there, like into the fall? When does it get too cold that you're not tossing the fly rod?
The Kenai doesn't freeze over. So, I mean, we can fish that throughout the winter if you really want to get after it. Typically, I would tell you by the end of October, first part of November, is typically when most people kind of reel it in. But there's still a contingent of people that get out there through the winter, and we get a nice Chinook day where it gets up over 30. It's pretty peaceful to get out there for a few hours. The problem is the drive down there. We don't have a lot of daylight that time of year.
Oh, right.
So it's you got to deal with driving in the dark and winter and moose, bad combinations.
Right. Right. Yeah. You guys have a lot. During this November, during the winter, what does the light look like there? How much light are you getting during the day?
So, I would say by probably right about the 1st of December, it'll start getting daylight about 10, and it'll start getting dark, about 3.
Yeah. 3. There you go.
Yeah.
5 hours of so that's the day. And then what we just talked to Shannon from the Kenai Sport Fishing Association, and we were talking a little bit about this, but I guess in the wintertime, everybody changes a little bit. You kind of hunker down a little bit more and do a little more fly tying.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what this shop relies on through the winter months is fly tying, and then the traveling saltwater angler.
Oh, right.
Which that has still been off for the last few years, but that's the other thing that kind of keeps the door moving.
Yeah, that's right. Are you guys seeing any changes? We heard about this, and I don't know if this is affected on the Chinook, ups and downs, but just like on the temperatures and the climate changes, are you guys seeing, have you seen that in the last 14 years of things? It's, you're able to fish longer, not as harsh winters, or are you still getting pretty harsh winters?
I would say our winters are still the same, but I feel like they have shifted a little bit. We seem to be getting the last several years more of a fall, which normally fall is not very long. Typically by the end of October, the ground is white. And I would say now we're not seeing that till November, sometime in November, typically, so we've gotten a little, and Octobers have been a little more mild, a little warmer than normal. On the spring side of it, it still feels kind of the same to me.
Yeah.
It's kind of hit or miss when it happens.
Right. When is the time where you can count on, somebody driving up or flying in and having a chance, not having to worry about things being kind of cold and frozen over?
May.
Yeah, May.
And we've noticed an increase in tourists kind of roaming around in May that you didn't used to see. May can be a really beautiful month here. It is not a good fishing time here.
Oh, it's not because it's raging.
No, because you've got like the Kenai Peninsula, like the Kenai, the Russian, those things are closed through May. Those close May 1 and don't reopen till June 11th. And then the stuff north of us, you could be dealing with runoff.
Yep, that's right.
So they could be blown up and dirty and not fishing real good. And they could be okay, but to me, May is just not a time to show up and want to go fishing and get a good Alaska experience.
No, so it's June. Basically, I mean, it's kind of later June, July, August, September, and now maybe even October. So you got good 3-4 months there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, perfect. Okay, well that's I kind of want to set the stage because I wanted to, as we're doing this giveaway event, somebody's going to win a trip up there, and we're going to be fishing off the road system with fish hounds. So we'll probably be up off the Susitna, Willow Creek in that area. But also people are going to be driving up there. Like I'm going to be coming up with the family, road tripping it with our 4-wheel camper, doing all that stuff. So it's going to be pretty awesome.
Nice.
But
yeah, you'll love that.
The kids haven't been on the highway. You haven't done the Alaska highway. And I've done it once. It's amazing. Actually, the Alaska highway, I had these dreams that it was going to be some crazy adventure. And it kind of was, but I mean, the road isn't bad. Like you can drive straight up there. It's not that. Do you remember the time when you used to hear it seemed like it was like you'd hear be gravel, but it seems like it's a decent road now.
Oh no, it's a great road. I mean, I've traveled on that road about 6 or 7 times.
Wow.
I've done the drive. When I was a kid, I remember we took a trip out. My parents took us out in a motorhome and went down to the lower 48. And that road was gnarly then.
Was it? Oh, so there was a time when it was gnarly.
There was, we took the Cassiar coming home, and that thing was just a little 2-lane dirt road.
Oh, right.
It was it was like you were in the sticks.
Yeah.
In that, and still even on the Cassiar, which is the route I prefer to take.
Which one's the Cassiar? Which one is that?
That's the one that drops down through BC. Like you go down through Smithers and all through there. I like that road because it's more scenic, but there's a long stretch when you turn off of the Alaska highway just before Watson Lake to Dease Lake that there's nothing. There's no cell service. There's no homes. I mean, I think it's about 3 hours worth of driving that you don't want something to go wrong through there.
No, that's right. What's your road trip tip to make sure to stay safe? I guess you just have be ready that if you did have some problem, you could camp out sort of thing.
Yeah. You just need to be able to have stuff that if something happens, you can hunker down and be warm and something to eat and, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Nice. Well, like I said, we're going to be road tripping up there and coming into Alaska. And I kind of wanted to paint the picture of the area. Like, let's just take it back to, where you are. If somebody's coming into Anchorage, is there a possibility if they flew in for some whatever reason they were there, maybe a family trip or, kind of doing some stuff with the could they fish right out of Anchorage? Is that a possibility? Or maybe talk about what options there are if somebody's flying in and they're maybe getting a rental car.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 2 creeks that run right through town, Campbell Creek, Chester Creek. Both of them have trout in them. Campbell gets some salmon in it. It's actually a pretty decent coho salmon fishery here in about 2-3 weeks. They're nothing super exciting, but it is something you can do that you don't even really need waders to do because they're small and you can just kind of stand on them. Once you get outside, all the local lakes are stock lakes. There's a bunch of them. So, I mean, there's that kind of fishing you could do. But going beyond that to get into anything like trout wise, you're an hour and a half north or south of us.
North or south. So either hit the Kenai, head south of Kenai or head up towards Willow in that area.
Yeah. If you want to fish salmon come July, like Long Cook Inlet, turning an arm down here, there's some streams where you could fish salmon along there, which are close to town. But, the thing with salmon fishing, if it's got a road to it, it'll have a lot of people on it. So everything is when it comes to salmon, a little bit congested. We also have Ship Creek, which is in downtown, which is our local king coho fishery. But you can only fish it below. There's a power dam, a little power dam on it, and you can only fish it below that thing. When I was a kid, I used to be able to trout fish up higher on it, and it was actually pretty awesome little fishery. But they closed it several years ago to fishing up there. I think too much poaching goes on of salmon.
Yeah,
is why that got closed.
Yeah. So the salmon. So pretty much when the salmon run, you're gonna have everybody going in to get their limits, sort of thing. Is that kind of how it works down there? All the locals and everybody.
Yeah, the king stuff is you've got your king guys that wanna get a limit. Then you have king guys that just want to go catch kings and let them go. Sockeyes is the big harvest fish. That is what that fish is. It's nothing more than a harvest. It's not. I mean, they call it sport fishing, but it's a harvest.
Yeah. Are sockeye not eating the same as like Chinook and coho will take the fly? Is it different?
Yeah, because sockeyes are plankton eaters. They're not meat eaters. They will take a fly. I mean, people tell you they won't. They will take a fly. We sell a little bonefish fly called a mini crystal shrimp, and it mimics kind of like krill, and krill live in plankton, and those sockeyes will grab that thing. And sockeye fishing becomes fun when they actually bite, and you're not lining them, flossing them up.
Yeah, right.
But they're great table fare. That's the thing with that fish is it's personally, it's my favorite of them all.
Yep, that's right. Well, we've talked about the Chinook quite a bit, but is it pretty much closed all throughout the whole area around Anchorage, Cook Inlet?
Anything with any King River that we can drive to is closed. Everything's shut to king fishing. Even Ship Creek got closed here a few weeks ago, and it's a hatchery only run, and that's just not good. I heard their count the other day was 90 fish. And I find that hard to believe, but
right. It seems like such a I mean, because you got these other species, sockeye, which seem to be out there still and abundant. Do you have any take on what's going on with Chinook? Why is it such? It seems like they're just getting hit the hardest.
I think there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle with them. Obviously, there's changing ocean conditions. Bycatch issues are a problem. The other thing that's been happening is we've got 30, I think we have 30 hatcheries in the state. Only 2 are owned by the state. So commercial industry owns the other 28. They're dumping I think the number I heard the other day was about 30 billion pink salmon a year into the ocean. And pinks are the number one commercial harvested fish because that's what all the canned salmon is. I kind of feel like when we look at the 5 salmon, pinks, coho, chum, kings, they're all meat eaters. They're all eating the same food. I think there might be a depletion in the food source as a part of the problem as well. I think. I mean, I'm not a biologist,
Sure.
But I mean, just when you think about that mathematically, it's kind of like, that because like
30
the kings
billion.
we do see 30 billion.
Man, that sounds like a lot. I mean,
that's a lot. That's a lot for a fish that local people won't even touch.
Right. That's the interesting thing because, I talked about this with Shannon about the 4-H's, you can kind of sum up the issue we've had in not only Alaska, but around the whole Pacific Rim, hatcheries, hydroelectric harvesting, and habitat destruction. And you never really thought about Alaska as the hatchery place because it seemed like you guys had all these native, but it sounds like hatcheries is potentially a big part of the problem here.
Yeah, it sure seems like it because when you look at the two best returning fish, pinks and sockeyes. Well, sockeyes they're eating plankton, so yeah, they're kind of off on their own, doing their own thing. I have now heard here lately that orcas are a part of the equation as well, which I had never always ever really talked about that before. Never really thought about them being a part of that, but I don't think habitat is our problem.
Yeah, so it's not habitat. No, because you've got natural. Yeah, you guys have. I mean, millions and millions, 20s, tens of millions of acres of habitat. right?
Right. Yeah. And our rivers are clean.
Yep.
Very few of them people even can access. So habitat, I don't think is an issue. It's
And hydroelectric isn't either, right? Dams are not an issue either.
no, they're not.
So it's really harvesting and hatcheries.
Yeah. I mean, like there is a run on there's a part of the Kenai run that a dam kind of ruined that. I shouldn't say kind of, it did ruin that run back in the day, but no, we don't have a bunch of dams here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, I think we know the picture. Everybody, I think, is kind of keeping the fingers crossed and trying to hope things can turn. I mean, steelhead. I was just talking to Brian Niska down at the Skeena Spay Lodge, and he was talking about the steelhead returns on the Skeena they're way high up this year from the last few years have been low. So
That's good.
that's a positive sign, right? I mean, that's something where hopefully maybe there's a similar thing with Chinook that eventually, that'll change. But either way, it's a red flag, and I think everybody knows, and it feels like we're all on the same page. Like, don't you feel like everybody wants Chinook salmon? It feels like.
Oh yeah, everybody wants them. I do think I'm starting to feel though that we've gotten to a stage that this state has got to learn how to market our fishing
Right.
without
the killing,
without kings in the mix.
Yeah.
And it's like this year's been an interesting year. The last 4 have been interesting, but like one thing that hasn't rebounded since COVID is like our European tourism. And when I think about the majority of the Europeans that come over here to go fishing, most of them come that we see through our doors. They come for either kings or they're coming for coho.
Oh, coho.
Yeah, like there's a pretty big contingent of Europeans that come for sockeyes, but we don't tend to see those anglers. A lot of them aren't. That fishery is just different.
Yeah. Well, what about the coho? Is the coho seem to be doing fine?
It's up and down.
Yeah.
It's up and down. Like the Parks Highway stuff is not good. The problem with the Parks Highway coho is that those fish come in with the Kenai sockeyes, and when the Kenai sockeye run is massive and gets over escapement, way over escapement, then they'll have commercial openers. And coho, the Matsu Valley coho seem to get nabbed up in that, which is, I don't know how they really fix that. It's a timing thing, But yeah, coho are definitely kind of not as good as it used to be 25 years ago. I think it's still a viable fishery. It is up and down, and it is some places it's bonkers, and other places it's like ho hum.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I mean, definitely, and you do have for sure still is the rainbow fishing, right? Do you find that rainbows are something you get excited for? A lot of people are trying to get one of those big rainbows up there.
Oh yeah. No, rainbow fishing up here is it don't get much better. I mean, when you got Chinooks in a system, the rainbow fishing, everything thrives when those fish show up. But even when they're not here, the rainbow fishing is still good.
Yeah, because there's plenty of eggs to eat if Chinook aren't there.
Yeah, I mean, our rainbows live on such a high protein diet that's why they're big.
Yeah, that's it.
They got a whole lot of Big Macs coming at them.
Yeah. Well, that's the plan on this trip we're doing, and we're planning on heading through. Hopefully, I think we will stop by and see you there in Anchorage, and then we'll turn and head up north. And we're going to head up through Wasilla, and I think Willow Creek is going to be one stream we're going to fish up there. But, I mean, there's a ton along the way. What would that look like if somebody was heading up just north? What would you tell them for advice if they wanted to start, like, fishing the road system on their way up, maybe for rainbows, grayling, whatever?
I mean, you've got 5 great trout fisheries on that Parks Highway: Willow, Little Willow, Sheep, Goose, Montana Creek. Highway goes over the top of all of them. They're easy walking wades. There's a ton of water.
So you just pull off in the highway. What are the laws? We just had Bo Beasley on who talked about kind of river access laws and stuff. In Alaska, how does that work? Can people hop in at the highway and then fish down? Like, is there lots of private property?
When you get up on those streams up north, there's a fair amount of private property, but in Alaska you have to the high water mark.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So you can be in the water regardless. there's just tons of access. Like you get on Google or what I tell people is just get on Google Earth and pull that segment up and look at the road system, and you can see where to access those creeks off of the highway, because they all got a place you can pull over and get to them another route than just having to fish them around the bridge. Because the one thing with those fisheries up there, all those tributary, those are all tributaries that dump into the Big Susitna. All those tributaries freeze over. So those trout push out and live over winter in the Big Susitna. So what's kind of interesting with those fisheries is when spring hits and they start opening up and the Big Sioux starts to open up, you'll fish them around the mouths because that's where the fish are. And they kind of mill around those lower sections of the river, feeding on salmon fry that may be dropping out, or sculpins or lampreys spawn in the springs, so they might be on that. And then as salmon show up and start to move up the river, those trout follow them up.
Oh, right.
So you start the year fishing at the mouth, you kind of follow them up. By this time of year, you can fish it from top to bottom. But then when fall hits and those salmon die off, those fish are just going to follow that flesh and egg bite out and just gradually just drop back out. And then you fish the end of the year back down where you started.
Oh, that's cool. So you start at the mouth, fish around there, and then you just follow basically what salmon are coming in. So maybe talk about the timing. So you have pinks, sockeye, coho, and chinook are later, but when are the pinks, sockeye, and the chum, and I guess the chum's a little bit later too, but the pinks and sockeye, when do they come in?
So kings are first. Kings start showing up in May. Then sockeyes start showing up first part of June. Then when we get into about mid-July is when you'll start to see pinks and chums. And then depending on the fishery, cohos are pretty much August through October. That would be the timing of it.
That's it. So like you said, if you're, May, things are, and then June, well, are things open up there during, is that Willow area, is it open in May, or that opens up a little earlier?
Yeah, no, that all the Matsu stuff. The only thing that closes in that May time frame is the Kenai River, the upper Kenai River and the Russian, those tributaries there, and then Iliamna region closes that same basic time frame, but everything else is open.
Okay. So they're in there and they're following the salmon up in May, June, July. So by this time, mid-July, August, you've got you can drop in anywhere in the Willow, any of those streams, and you would find some rainbows in there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. What's your technique? Is it pretty much anything you want to use out there? Is the mousing, is there different times of the years you guys are using different techniques?
Like early on when spring hits, streamer fishing and nymphing, probably your two best. Once we get some warm weather and bugs start popping, June, July, usually you'll have good dry and nymph fishing. Our trout will always hit streamers, so you always want to have those in the mix. Then June, July, mousing I think gets a little better as we get more into July and the first part of August. Then come about mid-August, those first salmon that are in the systems, that's when they start spawning. And then that's when everything starts to shift.
Oh, okay.
And then it becomes an egg feast and then flesh. And then once all that runs through, eggs and flesh will finish out the year no matter what.
Yeah.
But once we get into late September, October, we can go back to fishing streamers more. And I love swinging streamers in the fall.
Yeah. Right.
Because we're basically, a lot of these, like you go to the Kenai or you go out west to the Naknek or the Kweejak or one of those, we're basically swinging for steelhead size rainbows.
Yep. So once you get in that time of year, and so that's the fall. So what's going on there why does the swinging get so good with the streamers in that fall period?
Because river temps are dropping. Those fish sense that. They know they need to get a feed on. Most systems are pretty well depleted of salmon. So you throw a big meal in the water like that, they're going to get after it.
Yeah. Gotcha. And And yeah, you hear about some of these like the Knack and some of these other streams. I'm sure you guys are covering all that. Is this the same though for these streams up north, kind of Willow Creek, a similar sort of deal?
Yeah, they're similar. They are a little different because they're small waters. They're not big waters, so it's a little bit of a different game, but it is the same scenario.
Yeah, you could still catch them.
Yeah, you still catch them for sure.
Yep. Where's the places you guys are, for, it sounds like you're hitting some different areas flying out. What would be the top place where you're hitting, with swinging streamers in the fall?
Knack. It's an hour west of us in a plane, an hour west.
Yeah, hour west. Yeah, in a plane.
It's in the Knack is at King Salmon.
Oh,
Alaska.
It's a King Salmon. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, King Salmon.
There's actually two towns there. The town of Knack is at the mouth of the river, and then up the road is King Salmon. You fly into King Salmon. Like if you're going there, you don't go into Knack.
Right.
Knack's pretty much a commercial fishing town.
Okay.
Is basically because it's right at the mouth. So it's a commercial fishing town there.
Okay. And it's, and you're up by the Alaska Peninsula or Katmai National. Yeah, I mean, just everything. And even the Dillingham. I mean, you hear about these places, Good News Bay. I mean, all these famous names around, and pretty much, Bethel, they're all flying. I mean, there's no road other than.
There's no road to anything southwest of Anchorage. There is no road.
There's no road. How many people do you find that are doing the flying in Anchorage or doing the road? Is that like a super small percentage compared to everybody else who's flying up and heading out to, all these other places?
Here lately, it's kind of been both of those numbers are off. I would tell you historically, it's probably, it might be 50-50.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's quite a bit. Yeah.
And it might be more 60-40 with 60% going to lodges, but I would tell you somewhere in that realm would be the split of who's doing what.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
The thing is with going to Western Alaska is, I mean, that's a bunch of money. Like it's lodges are not cheap. And even there's a lot of DIY type floats and stuff to do out there.
Yep.
But you still got to charter float plane rides.
Right.
And I mean, you could come up and go do a pretty wicked float on a 100-mile river and not cost you an absolute ton of money, but it's not chump change either.
No. Yeah. You're still going to pay probably $4,000 or so, or whatever it's going to be for all the, everything that we've talked about that a little bit. We had one of the outfits that flies in talked about, there are outfits that do it. You could pay them to do everything. They'll give you your gear and then pick you up, drop you off, pick you up and stuff. But,
there's quite a few of those.
Lots of those. Yeah. But it seems like, the road, the flying in Anchorage or driving up seems like it'd be a pretty awesome way to do it. Wouldn't cost you quite as much. You could still get the Alaska experience. And plus you're just on the road, maybe traveling. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for it. I mean, I don't know. I love the road trip. I love a good road trip. So it's kind of fun to think about this. Plus rainbows. I mean, you're still going to get a chance at a, 20+ inch rainbow, maybe even a 30-inch rainbow, right? If you're lucky in some of these places up there.
Yeah. That illustrious 30.
How often is that?
Well, I mean, I hear guys come in the shop and talk about how they catch 20 of them a year.
Yep.
I've been here 53 years, and I think I've caught a total of 5.
Right. I was going to say
in my life.
Like, yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. I'm obviously I'm not as good an angler as them, but that's okay.
Yeah. Right.
But it's funny how Alaska gets the benchmark at that 30 thing, and you'll hear a guy come in the shop. Yeah, I was fishing this weekend. It's all right. Caught a 28, couple 25, 27, right. But nothing big. Didn't get a 30.
Oh man!
And you look and you just smile and you're like, that's cool,
right?
Yeah. But we're spoiled.
Yeah, you're
right?
spoiled.
I mean, I'm not a big take a picture guy anymore. But I wouldn't take a picture of a 24-inch fish. And most people look at you and go, why not? And it's like, well, that's not abnormal to find that.
Yeah. 24s are common. You could find 24s.
24 in the right systems. Yeah. 24s, you can catch quite a few of them. and you go to the right places, And it does. It's arrogant to say it because but it's what Alaska is. It's what it offers us.
Yep. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, and that's the thing. And there is the chance that that potential, right? That's what fishing is. Why it's great. You always have that shot at that fish. You never know when that big, fish of a lifetime you're gonna hook up with it. But
oh yeah.
So are you guys traveling around? Like around? I know it sounds like you hit some different spots. Is that your program, or like if somebody wanted to do, come in and do you guys have like a guide program, or is that separate?
No, we don't. We don't have we're what you call a destination shop because of where we're located. Because we're hour and a half from any fishery, right. So we're Anchorage being the hub to everything. No matter what somebody's coming to Alaska to go do, you're coming here. So we stay out of the guide world. We have been we're hosting a couple trips a year over to it's called the Copper River. It's not the Copper River that everybody thinks of with Sockeyes. It's a little river that dumps into Lake Iliamna. I've got a little lodge that are friends of ours that I host a couple trips a year over there. One in June, one in September. And then I try to host a trip out to the Chinook, which I'm leaving for in a week.
Oh, wow.
And then I got a lodge buddy that we go help close down their lodge on the Naknek in October. So we go out there for a week. That's kind of the end of the year shop trip. Brian and I go out there and shut the doors and go hang out and swing flies.
There you go. Is that what... Is that kind of what gets you fired up, the swinging flies? I know that we talked about the spay clave a little bit, but is that what kind of keeps you going up there?
I go through phases in fishing of what really gets exciting. And yeah, swinging flies I'll put a lot of time into it and I love it. But I do like to go dry fly fishing and mousing and that kind of stuff, in that June and July frame. I mean, if I was be on the water, I'm pretty excited about it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. What's the spay clave? Is that what you guys? I can't remember what you called it, but has that been something that's been going on for a little while?
Yeah. That it's been going on since the local fly fishing club started it back in probably 2015, and it went for a few years. They were doing it on a lake, which wasn't something I really wanted to. Didn't really want to be a part of it on a lake. None of my reps wanted to be a part of it on a lake. And then it got to a point where we got involved and got it where we were hosting it down on the Kenai, hosting it before the season opens. So you don't have to deal with crowds. The refuge is really good about giving us a permit to be on the, we can't fish, but we can do those presentations on the river. My Sage Reddington Rio rep, George Cook, comes up for it. Eric Neufeld, my Winston Echo Able dude, comes for it. My G Loomis guys, Jake Zirkle comes. And then George has been bringing a guy by the name of John Hazlitt who works for him. So they put on presentations in the morning. Then we put on a Texas style brisket pulled pork lunch for everybody. And then the afternoons, we've just been opening up for people to demo rods, get some one-on-one help, that kind of stuff. We've been this year, we had 160 to 170 people.
Oh, wow.
For a one-day event.
That's great.
It's been a really fun event to do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a cool kickoff to the season.
Mm-hmm. And when is it?
Well, we hold it the Saturday closest to the Kenai opener of June 11th.
Okay.
So the date kind of bounces a little bit, but that first week or two of June is when we put that on.
Okay. And what's the maybe change it down to that area? What is the Kenai? I mean, the Kenai is known for. I've been up there. I mean, I guess it's known for sockeye, but how is the Kenai system different than maybe the system up north?
I mean, the Kenai is a big river. It's a glacial river. It comes out of a glacier, comes down into Kenai Lake, comes out of Kenai Lake, goes back into another glacial fed lake called Ski Lac, and then out to the ocean. It's 70 miles long. It's where the state record Chinook came from back in 1984, I believe, by Les Anderson.
97 pounds?
98,
Oh, okay.
97 or 98. Yeah.
Okay.
And what's funny is Les left that in his boat for 6 hours before he even took it in.
Oh, really? What was his deal? Was he just a local fisherman?
Yeah, he's local. He worked for a car dealership down there, local guy down there. But yeah, that fish had to be over 100 pounds when he landed it.
Right.
Because it would have lost some hydration weight in 6 hours.
Wow. What he landed on? What kind of gear?
It would have been probably either eggs or plugs, one or the other.
Yeah.
That's a pretty heavy gear fishery down there because it's so big. Like if you want to get out on some little gravel bars and swing for Chinook down there, you got to have a boat handy if you hook a big one, because you're never going to stop it.
Oh, yeah.
You would have to chase it.
Yeah. Is Chinook open? Is it open on the Kenai?
No,
It's not. Same thing. So it's closed down there.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, what the Kenai is probably most famous for are those kings, because they're some of the world's biggest kings in there. But it's a great sockeye fishery. It's a great coho fishery. It gets pinks on even years, so like this year's a pink year in there. It's got dollies, rainbows. Yeah, I mean, it's when you look at it, you kind of go, "You're telling me that's a great fishery?"
Yeah, because it's just
because it's green.
Oh, right.
Right, it's glacial green and it's so big, but it's a river that it's magnificent, and what it produces and the pressure that it sustains.
Is there lots of fly anglers down there fishing like tribs and the main stem, or
Pretty much, mostly you're fishing the main stem. Really, the only trib that dumps into that thing that's fishable is the Russian River.
Yeah, the Russian. I would say that's the one I fished. Yeah, the Russian.
Yeah, I mean, it's got other little tribs, but none of it you fish.
Oh, okay. So this is a main stem, so you kind of have to just go down there, grab a gravel bar or have a boat, and then that's how it works.
Yeah, like fall, when the river starts to drop, there's a lot more gravel access to fish it. But like this time of year, without a boat, you can walk into a spot, but you're just stuck to that, however much gravel you got, and that's it, because it's not something you crisscross.
No.
It is definitely far more beneficial to fish with a boat.
Yeah, gotcha. So it sounds like the stuff up north is probably the better road foot access stuff if you're going to be doing that type of fishing.
For sure. Other than the Russian's an awesome fishery, and you get to fish around bears, and you just got to deal with the crowds for the sockeye stuff. But it's still a phenomenal fishery.
How far up north can you fish? If you travel up, like head towards Fairbanks, are people fishing all the way up the highway?
All the way up. Once you go across Hurricane Gulch, you're in grayling country exclusive from there.
Now, where's that? Hurricane Gulch?
Hurricane Gulch is about 2.5, 3 hours north of us on the Parks Highway.
Oh, yeah.
But once you go across that thing, there's pretty much all the flowing water up there is going to have grayling in it. There's no trout up there.
And is that just because it's why is that just too far to travel?
I mean, they don't get salmon in a lot of the stream, like all the little stuff. It's not, trout just don't live up there. They've been implanted in some lakes and stuff up in that area, but yeah, the river stuff, I mean, it's pretty much grayling. And grayling, I mean, grayling are awesome.
Yeah.
Like, they're so underrated. Like, if somebody wants to come to Alaska and is dedicated to fishing dries and nymphs, that is the fish that they should be targeting, because those things, you catch one, you'll catch 50 of them.
Right.
And they're an absolute blast, and they're beautiful fish.
I know, they're amazing. Yeah, they're underrated. Why do you think they're underrated? Why do you think that is? Just people don't know about what it's like to catch one?
Because there's 30-inch rainbows here.
Yeah, that's right. It's hard to 30-inch rainbow. That's it.
That's why those things are underrated.
That's right. Nobody's gonna. So, how do you balance expectations when somebody calls you up and is like, "All right, I want to go catch a 30-inch rainbow"? What are you telling those people?
I mean, hey, it's gonna depend on the time of year they call, right? Like if somebody calls me today and says, "How do I find a 30-inch rainbow?" I mean, it's honestly that's a tall task this time of year. I mean, they're there, but you're dealing with rivers that are chock full of salmon. Those fish are pushed around. Some of them had the chance to put on that girth to get them up to that stage. I try to not, I try not to set the bar too high, but I also try not to set it too low for them. I mean, it is a little bit of a balancing act, but I am honest about it to somebody, like you're going to have a hard time finding that, you know, they're there, but like the Kenai, like you could catch a 30 probably just about any month, but it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee at all.
Yeah. Could you swing? Is that on the Kenai? Is that something like the spay stuff? Is that something you could swing for rainbows, some of those fish?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a great swing fishery.
Yeah, that would be cool, right? So have your spay or whatever, trout spay or even steel. Actually, steelhead spay. You probably have your normal like 6 or 7 weight or something, right?
Yeah, for here, we kind of joke about it all the time, Brian and I, that really trout spay in Alaska is a 7.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's steelhead. I mean, it's not too far off from. I mean, yeah, it's
You
because
know.
steelhead. Even steelhead, you easily catch a 4 or 5 pound steelhead in some of these areas, right?
Oh yeah,
Even
for
smaller.
sure. But we do have a lot of play for these 4, 5, 6 weight rods as well. I fish a 6 a lot and a 5 a lot. I don't fish 7s as much anymore. If I'm going up, I kind of like when I go to the Naknek, I take 8s.
Oh, you do. You take 8 weight when you go up there, so
I
it's like
take
you're
eight
fishing
weights,
a bit. Yeah, I always think of like 8 weight is more like winter steelhead, and then 6 weight is more like summer steelhead.
which is correct. But those fish on the Naknek, I mean, I'm not a big fish hunter. I think they're all awesome, but when I go to the Knack, they don't usually think much about something under 30 there.
Yeah, so Knack Knack is one where 30 is doable
If somebody asks me what's my best shot at a 30, they need to go to the Naknek.
for the Knack Knack.
That river offers the best shot.
Yep.
Kenai and Kvichak are two more that fall into that wheelhouse, but I think the Knack is hands down your best shot at one of those fish.
There you go. So yeah, we've heard about that. We've had a couple episodes on that area, and just yeah, it sounds like again, it's one of those things where there's so many places you'd love to eventually get to, but that seems like one of them. I mean, if you had to pick out of Alaska the one spot for a giant rainbow, that would be it, or like you
Yeah.
said, the Kenai, yeah. And you guys are
Yeah,
heading
for
up to the
sure.
Connect Talk for Chinook, and we had George Cook on a couple. He's been on a few times talking about Chinook, but that's one of those places where you can still have a great Chinook trip, right?
Yeah, it's definitely been hit or miss. The place that I'm going to is they're not targeting Chinook too much. They kind of they decided like they're not even open in the month of June
Oh wow.
to just not mess with kings. They will a little bit, because they've got certain clients that's the deal. But like I'm going out there to go trout fishing.
Oh, you are? Okay. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it is at a point where you're definitely, yeah, people are thinking about all this.
yeah, and that camp that's there, it's historically known for Chinook fishing and trying to kind of give it a new face.
That's
Let's
the,
let's 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 pimp some of this trout fishing because the trout fishing on that river, like that river gets all 5 salmon, dollies, char, rainbows, grayling, whitefish. I mean, if it swims in Alaska, it goes in that river, and it's a super cool river. You can catch a 30-inch fish in that river, but the mousing in it is fantastic. I mean, it's just a super cool river. Super cool river.
it's crazy. Yeah, I'm just looking at a map. We were talking about this on one of the last episodes, the size of Alaska. And I'm not sure what, do you know the stat on that? Is it like half the size of the United States, the lower 48?
Well, Alaska has more coastline than the rest of the United States combined.
Yeah.
If we cut Alaska in half, Texas becomes the third largest state.
Right.
There's only 700,000 people here,
And there's only 700,000, right?
and half of them live in the municipality of Anchorage.
That's right.
It is a big, vast piece of land that does not have a lot of people on it.
Yep. Is that the thing for you? Like, what is it? You've been there for, your whole life. What is it that, like is the thing you really love that keeps you there?
It's just we're so because anything outdoors is at your fingertips, anything, and there's not a lot of people here. I mean, we have normal amenities like everywhere else, and Anchorage is a normal city like most people would be accustomed to, but we don't have to drive very far to be in the middle of nowhere, and no worry of, well, if I keep driving, I'll run into the next big city. Like you're out there.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah. And we're kind of secluded from the rest of the lower 48 and just everything, you feel a little safer up here
Right.
just because you're just because we're really disconnected from everything. You can drive here. We're still disconnected. I mean, I have people all the time, like go to order something and they'll go, "Oh, we don't ship to Alaska."
Yeah, right.
Why? Well, freight don't go there. Oh, really? Well, how do you think we get anything? Like,
Yeah.
I had a person one time tell me I was ordering something. They go, "Well, we only ship to the United States." And I go, "Well, we are we're the 49th state."
Right.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting how
Yeah.
to this day people still don't fully understand what is Alaska.
Yeah. God, it's amazing. It's like go back in the history books and that the way that the purchasing of that thing, right? I mean, that was, I don't even know the whole history, but that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's cheap.
Yeah, we got it pretty cheap.
Yeah, we got it pretty cheap.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, well, this has been awesome. I think that like I said, we're going to be doing some stuff up there and looking ahead. Anything else you want to shed light on with what you guys have going? You mentioned your business partner there. Do you want to give a heads up? Is it just you two guys there in the shop most of the time?
Yeah, just Brian and I are the only two here, and I mean, we are just a small 1,500 square foot fly shop. I mean, we got a lot of stuff in there. We stock, most every major brand you can think of. We're a dealer for, so we try to keep good inventories, and yeah, that's it.
It's good stuff. Well, like I said, we're going to be keeping in touch because we're after this giveaway event, we're going to be heading up there next year. So definitely, I'll look forward to stopping in and checking out the place and saying hi. Are you guys pretty much open year round at the shop?
Yep, 12 months. Yep, 12 months of the year.
Okay, good. Well, we'll send everybody your way if people are heading up there and doing the road thing. Or I guess people, when they fly in, that's one of the things. If they fly into Alaska, I guess, are most people hopping on planes and then heading out, or are there people hanging in Anchorage?
No, usually people are getting here the day before their charter.
Right. So you're talking to a lot of people that are doing stuff.
Oh yeah. So like Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, those will be the days that we see the lodge tourist traffic, because those will be the three change out days, depending on where they're going. And we deliver to hotels all the time, because flying to Alaska, you could easily be stuck on getting here at midnight. So some people need stuff and we'll take it to the hotels, or,
Oh, nice.
we'll do whatever anybody needs.
Yeah.
Take it out to charter flights, that kind of stuff.
Right. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So basically, if somebody flies in, they need something, you guys definitely have them covered.
Oh yeah, for sure. And if people want to email us or call us ahead of their trip and say, "Hey, I want to get this, and this," we'll be sure we get it rounded up. It's sitting here when they come through. Because sometimes they'll be on a little bit of a tight schedule, like, "Hey, I gotta can I get this and go," type of deal. So we try to do our best to cater to all of that, whatever somebody needs.
Awesome. Well, this is exciting. I'm definitely, like I said, looking forward to getting up there again in 25. And hopefully we'll keep the fingers crossed that the Chinook thing maybe opens back up. I mean, I guess it's possible, right? I mean, there could be it's been closed for a couple years, but is there a possibility it could be open next year?
I'm gonna guess it's not gonna be open.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think we have pushed it to its max, and if things were open next year, I would be shocked.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
What do you think about the thinking? And this happens in Steelhead a lot. I've talked about this a little bit. We had guests talk about this where, you go to some of these areas where they do closures. I think the Skagit is one in some of these areas. But, after a certain number of years, people kind of forget about the fishing, and then there's nobody to help, kind of protect them and actually like talk about like, how do we change this around? Is Chinook different up there? Do you think over if this happened for 5 years or so, people would just eventually kind of move on and Chinook would be no?
I think Chinooks will always be at the forefront of people's minds.
Yep.
Because it is, I mean, we call them kings for a reason.
Yep.
You know, and like Shannon and the Kenai River Sports Association, like that's a huge focus for that group, you know, and they're not going to let it go. They're not going to let it go to the wayside. They're going to do what they can to protect it. And yeah, naturally everybody wants it to come back. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if things are shifted so much that it may not happen. I really hope it does.
Yep. Well, I think we're all, I mean, I think most of us are optimistic. I think if you're a fisherman, right, you tend to be that way. So hopefully, yeah, things change. Now, this is just another random fact. I mean, you mentioned it today, kings, dogs, all the names. Why is it in Alaska they're called by those names, and then down the lower 48 they're called Chinook, Coho? Any idea?
I don't honestly know why. I don't know if that's something that come from the native culture.
Oh, right.
You know, that these got labeled that way, or I honestly don't know the history of why we say them like we do. Because like it's very rarely will you hear me say Chinook, even though that's what it is. It's just my whole life it's been kings. Now, like Sockeye, I've kind of converted myself.
Oh, right, yeah, the Reds. You're not calling them Reds.
I don't, and I think that's from me spending time in Bristol Bay at places, and they're always called Sockeyes out there.
Okay. What about Humpies? Do you call them Humpies?
No, I call them Pinks.
Oh, okay, there you go. So there's a little bit of
I call them Pinks. Chums, I call Chums.
Okay. So
you know,
dogs.
And Coho, I'll call them either way. Silvers or Cohos, I kind of bounce around how I say it.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a change then. I guess it's mainly the Chinook where you guys call them kings. And
yeah, that's the main one that, like, I don't know that I've ever heard a local person say Chinook to me.
Yeah. Even though Chinook is actually the, right, however you say it, that's kind of the native.
That is the correct name for it. Yeah, that is the correct name.
Right, right.
But even like EOs from the fishing game say kings.
Yeah.
Like they call them kings.
It makes sense. It is Alaska, so cool. All right, Mike, well, I think we'll leave it there. We'll send everybody out to Mossy's flyshop.com, and definitely if people are heading up that way, we'll definitely have them stop in the shop and connect with you. And yeah, excited for this giveaway and the trip next year, and looking forward to seeing you. Thanks for all your time today.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you, and I appreciate it.
All right, today's call to action. If you're interested in this trip, you can join it right now. We are going to be opening the doors soon, but if you want to send me an email, dave@wetflyswing.com, use the subject line Alaska Fishing, and let me know you're interested in hearing more about this trip. I'll let you know how many spots we have available, and we'll follow up with you there. Please follow the show if you get a chance. This is the way we keep the lights on here and allows us to find new and better guests as we go. And a reminder, we have a few big things coming this year. We've got the shop, which we are still working on behind the scenes, and Alaska. If you want to get involved in this, check in with me, and let's do it. All right, next episode this week, Wednesday, we've got Shannon Martin from CRISA. CRISA is the Kenai River Sport Fishing Association, whose job is to manage and help protect the fishery and the species up there. We're going to talk about more on Alaska as we keep on Alaska Week all week. Here we go. If you have any questions, check in with me anytime. I hope you have a great afternoon. Hope you have a great evening or a great morning wherever you are in the world. And I appreciate you for stopping in and checking out the show today. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show. For notes and links from this episode, visit wetflyswing.com.